Welcome back to the workshop. We want to continue taking a look at section 1.1, time to complete a project. So we discussed the context of the problem, right? Remodeling a basement. And we looked at the tasks that need to occur. And we even took a brief look at the dependencies. What do we have to do before we can move on to this next task? So we want to take this table of tasks and dependencies, and we want to create a nice picture to go along with it. So what would this look like? Well, we're going to start off with something that's maybe a little bit rough, and then continue to refine it until we have something that makes it clear and easy for us to find the time to complete the project. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to represent each task with a dot. So what tasks do we have? We have tasks A through I. Let's see here. That is 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 tasks. Whew, 9 tasks. All right, so that means I've got to go, let's see here. If I want to split it into 9, I can do a triangle and then split each of these up into 2 more. There we go. So this gives us 9 dots, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and I. Those are our 9 tasks that we have to complete. And what we want to do is we want to draw an arrow from one task to the next as we can complete them. So I'm going to draw those arrows in black here. And so whatever task, so A precedes B, so I'm going to draw an arrow from A to B. So when I look at task B, it is preceded by A. So I'm going to draw an arrow from A to B. And then I've got C is also preceded by A. So I'm going to go ahead and draw an arrow from A to C. There we go. And D is preceded by B and C. So D is preceded by B and C. Let's see here. E is preceded by C. There we go. Let's see. F is preceded by D. All right. G is preceded by E and F. G is preceded by E and F. H is preceded by only F. And I is preceded by G and H. All right, so we have a diagram to start with, and this looks nice-ish, right? It gives us kind of a path. It gives us a bunch of different paths from the beginning to the end, right? If we follow along with these arrows, but this isn't quite the nicest thing yet. So let's make some small adjustments. First, can we draw this without any lines crossing? So this is actually a question that we'll address a little bit later when we talk about graphs, or what the idea of being able to draw something without lines crossing is, right? It has a nice, that is a definition of something. But here, yes, we can do this. We won't talk about why we can. It just happens to be, yes, we can in this case. So we can redraw this. So I'm going to go ahead and place all of my dots a little bit differently. So I'm going to put A right over here, A right there. And then I know I go to B and C. So I'm going to split them up as B and C. So B and C. And I can go from A to B, and I can go from A to C, right? A goes to B, A goes to C. Now I have B going to D, C going to D. So I'll put D right here. Both B and C go to D. And let's see here. Next is E, which is only preceded by C. So I'll put that one here. And then I've got, let's see, what is next? I've got E all the way up through E. So F is preceded by D only. So I'll follow that over. G is preceded by F and E. So I'm going to put G all the way over here. So I've got G is preceded by F and E. There we go. And H is preceded by F. And then finally, I here is preceded by H and G. I. All right. So this looks a little bit nicer. Now we can see kind of what the paths are that we're following along to go from the beginning of the project to the end of the project. All right, I can't do H until all of these other things are done for it. I can't do G until all these other things are done before it. And it's really nice, easy to see and follow along. Of course, I don't remember what each of these letters mean, right? Something about the floor. There's paint walls in here somewhere, and this one is bill the customer. And it won't always turn out quite so nice that there's one last dot where everything finishes. Sometimes it'll actually just look like, let's see if I can get rid of that. Yep. Sometimes it'll look just like this, and it'll end right here. That kind of thing you'll see in some problems that the textbook provides. So in this case, we make it nice. Here's the beginning, here's an end. So it's a little bit easier to see what's going on. So this picture gets for us a little bit closer. And now I want to take one more step. So we can use the convention that moving from left to right is our progress through time. So that allows us to remove the arrowheads. So we can just take these dots and connect them with lines, because the arrows don't matter if we know we're moving from left to right. Furthermore, to help us establish how long it's going to take, we want to remember how long each task itself takes. So we're going to go ahead and take each dot, explode it out to a small circle, and inside that circle, write how long it takes to complete each task. So I've already got these written down a moment. So we're going to go down here. I've talked about what this says already, and we're going to essentially just copy this same diagram down right here, but we're going to use circles instead of dots and include the time it takes to complete the task inside that circle. So we have task A, and then we had tasks B and C, and then we had task D, and we had task E. So we had A had to be completed before B, and A had to be completed before C. B and C had to be completed before we could go on to task D, and task C had to be completed before we could go to task E. Continuing on with our tasks here, we had task F, which was preceded by D, and then we had task G. Actually, let me move this guy over just a little bit. Task G, which was preceded by F, and E. And we had task H, which was preceded by task F, And then our final task of billing the customer, task I, is preceded by H and G. So that's just a copy of what we did right here, okay? With the arrowheads removed and bubbles made for the time that it takes to complete each project. So we know task A, so I'm going to scroll back like this. There we go. A is 4, B is 3, C is 5, and so on. I'm copying all of these down inside of these circles. And C, A is 4, B is 3, C is 5, D is 3, E is 1, F is 2, G is 1, H is 2, and it doesn't take any time at all to bill the customer. So that gives me my times. Okay, so we've done all this work and we've done all these manipulations, and it seems kind of silly so far, but this thing right here, this thing is exactly what allows us to just make a couple of notations on this exact same diagram and actually find from it the time it takes to complete the project. So to give a nice pause, we're going to go ahead and break right here and come back in just a moment to finish up the section. So if you want to, just below where we drew that diagram, you can copy that same diagram down, and we're going to add a little bit more information. So leave a little bit of space next to each task labeling, and we'll talk about how long it takes to complete the project. So I'll see you guys back in the workshop very shortly.